gets us through to the final that probably we wanted. Definitely the informed team or the heating up team with Australia. Lost our first 2 games, including to those other semi-finalists in South Africa and India.
Yep. Quality competition though.
Oh, 100%. And maybe the final that a lot of people wanted to see. Arguably the best ODI team ever assembled on paper in the Indians, and coming up against our boys in green and gold who are just renowned for winning games when it counts.
Oh yeah.
We've got to talk about all the stuff that's happened this week, and the best team didn't win, and a lot of that rhetoric.
I think you said it. You've already kind of said it. They were probably the best team on paper, but that's why these matches aren't played on paper.
No,
it's who when you it's. It only sorry, I'm having a tongue tied here.
Can't get the words out. He's
I'm so passionate about our Australia one. But winning when it matters is really the point of why we play finals. And there's no point to say that, India are the better team on paper, they got the better stats statistically, let's call it a day there.
They had a better World Cup.
Yeah, it's more, these 2 teams have worked their way there. They've been the 2 best in the tournament so far. Let's see if Australia can catch up, do the chasing they need to, and get the win here. So, and which is what they did. I think that's the reason why you did it. And I love the whinging, and they can all go join Piers Morgan.
The Poms, very English-esque response, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mohammed Kaif, I can never accept that the best team has won the World Cup. The Indian team is the best on paper. There was a fair bit of, other people getting the air quotes, former Indian cricketer Ambati Rayudu. I think even a normal surface would have done well because we were way stronger than the Australian side. You just got to take your licks, boys.
Yeah.
You're going to take your fucking licks.
But even like on that is, the BCCI is set it up. They had the pitch they wanted.
Allegedly.
yeah.
ICC had to they had to intervene, yes. I've read, in that not letting the BCCI just run with whatever decks they want. So despite
home field advantage,
everything, a sea of blue, 120,000.
Some questions asked about the Rohit's coin tossing ability as well, and the way he was tossing the coin and winning a lot of those coin tosses. So a lot of questions were being asked, but when I saw Patrick Cummins had won the coin toss, I was like, he might be in here.
Well, and then he elected to bowl, and at the time I thought, oh fuck, that's a bit scary, given what we just spoke about in the semi-final and what that Indian top order is able to do. Yeah. But a lot of thought obviously went into it. And
I think in hindsight, well, not in hindsight, from what we've heard post and their reasoning, they'd really looked into it. They really had a deep discussion about what they thought the pitch was going to do, and just an absolute masterclass. They were 100% right on what it was going to do, and they played it really, really well. I think I was listening to Ashwin talk about how they set a very left-sided field, which is not something you see a lot because you can leak a lot of fours if you don't get it wrong. But they stuck to that plan. They were very tactical in it, and it really dried up their run rate. And I think they went well over an hour without scoring a boundary, so which is very impressive because I think at the time it was Kohli and Rahul were in, so guys, they can definitely score runs. So
the Indians hit 13 boundaries the whole innings.
Yeah, Travis Head hit more himself. So
wild, hey.
Yeah.
A few stats on chasing teams. That's 7 white ball World Cup finals in a row where the chasing team has won, albeit one asterisk with England and New Zealand. Yep. That includes 3 ODI and 4 T20 World Cups. And the last 2 IPL finals have also been won by the chasing team at Ahmedabad. That is per Alex Malcolm from ESPN Cricket Info, who spoke on The Grade Cricketer. You might have heard of it. So hopefully he's got the stats right because I've just fucking pilfered them off him. But very deliberate, whilst we're all kind of sweating a little bit at home. And the sweating certainly was eased a little bit when Shubman Gill was dismissed for just 4.
I don't want to think he's... I don't think they've scapegoated him too much, but he didn't have a really good tournament.
No, he didn't. But he's also
of the 11. Like he was the one they point out that struggled a fair bit throughout. And I think Yadif was probably the other one that they, from what I've seen, they were picking on. Giving very low scores of how they did this tournament. Rating him like a 2 out of 10 kind of thing.
Yeah.
But having said that, when they needed to, they did their role well enough throughout some of those games. It's just when they needed them most, they didn't stand up.
Pretty stiff, I reckon. Like Shubman Gill, 354 runs in the tournament at 44. Didn't get 100, striking at 107. Look, not a bad World Cup.
Yeah, not a bad World Cup.
Wouldn't mind averaging 44 in, third grade Sunday social, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue was he got 4 in this, and that's, recency bias. That's all I remember it for.
Sky, on the other hand, had a shit tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite ordinary. A bloke that made a lot of starts and looked like he could score, a world record 260 odd in any of the innings when he was starting off was their captain Rohit Sharma.
Yep.
And he just would set the intent, the same sort of thing in the New Zealand game, but a massive wicket when we got him. A really good catch actually from Travis Head off Glenn Maxwell, who was understated with his right arm offies.
Yeah, he bowled really well this tournament.
So 2 for 76. That's still India with a power play. Going at 8 and over.
Yeah, well they were 80 off the first 10, so they're looking at 400. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm just doing the quick math for everyone.
Quick math, yeah.
But aiming at 400, they're on that right track. Yeah, but then they get those, follow that with quick wickets, and then they were, what do they know? They were 3 down with 84 or something.
Yeah, when Shreyas Iyer went, that's when the momentum started to shift a little bit. Yes, Kohli's still out there.
Rahul's come in,
but you just started to think, these blokes are human.
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah, and I think they played. Like they wanted to get an innings going. They knew they had to hang around for most of this innings, keep the score ticking over as much as they could. But I feel like they just never got out of that mode, and they really, maybe after 10, 15 overs, probably should have kicked it up a gear. But instead, they just kind of kept it going, just kept going, and then the overs started ticking down, the minutes were ticking over, and you're like, they're not scoring really quickly at all. They're looking at a pretty low total that we can, in comparison to 300 probably being par in this tournament, that we are definitely within a chance here of chasing down something that we can very much get after. And
if one was to nitpick, and nitpick we will,
yes,
KL Rahul scoring that 66, striking at 61. Yes, they needed to sort of steady the ship a little bit, but he started to chew up a lot of balls. Probably didn't rotate the strike as well as he could have. And that was really those middle overs that we definitively won. And a lot of that's got to go down to the captain, Pat Cummins.
He bowled really well that phase as well.
Bowled his arse out, 2 for 34 from his 10. We've seen him in the IPL be quite expensive in the last few tournaments, and he
really
just
take a like to him.
Just saved his best for last here. So shout out to the skipper, Captain Planet. He absolutely
3.4 economy, and he bowled nearly that whole middle period to Virat and Rahul. Give him big props for that. Was.
And how's this column right here? 0 boundaries. You bowl 60 balls at Kohli and Rahul and the like, and you don't get hit to the fence. A mammoth effort from Captain Blue Eyes.
Yeah, but having said that, maybe we could. The reason they batted so slowly is when Rahul got out, you follow when Virat and Rahul got out, because they got out very similar. Like you could see. They didn't really have anything to follow it. Jadeja did nothing really. Yadav, nothing. And then you're into the bowlers, and they're not really going to wag too much the Indian tail end. It was
incredible. I think when Kohli went, that was about 36th over. That's when the game really started to shift. Rahul was struggling out there. Jadeja didn't do much, like you said. Sky didn't do much. That's when you started to think, okay, well, both teams have got a bat on this, but this is pretty much going as well as it can for the Aussies.
That was a point where you really want them to kick on and then try to really tick the score over, but they just didn't have the wickets in hand and the batting quality to follow it. So.
Shout out to Zorb, Adam Zampa, 1 for 44. Not the amazing figures. He only got hit for 1 boundary, but was our best bowler in the tournament in terms of wicket taking. A massive effort for a leg spinner to bowl as well as he did, and when Ashton Agar went down just before the World Cup, was going to be our only spinner in the squad, which we kind of were scratching our heads at the start of the tournament. So he had an absolute worldly tournament.
Yeah, but then also, credit the job that, say, Maxwell did in there.
Huge.
Even like Travis Head filling in.
Yep.
Like you look at Travis Head and Mitchell Martz, they filled in for 2 overs each, but 4 and 5 off their 2.
Went for 9 off their 4
You think
overs.
as part-timers that the batsmen might want to take that after them, but they obviously were in a bit of struggle town, and it kind of it reflected in the score, reflected in the result. So having said that, I thought the Australians on the other flip side of it also kind of had a bit of a wobbles to start.
100%. Warner could have been caught first ball. We ended up going in the second over, 7 off 3. You don't see that as a numbers next to your name very often. But enter Travis Head, and we can't speak highly enough of this man. The way that he has stepped up in big games time and time after again one of the all-time innings. Yeah,
and also you go give a bit more context.
Mitch Marsh got out.
Marsh straight away.
Steve Smith got out
very quickly. And I think big props to Manus. Kind of did enough to keep the score ticking over, but essentially playing second fiddle, staying down the other end, not getting out, just so Travis could put in the work and get them there. Because if Marnus goes quickly, Travis probably can't bat as aggressively as he wants to. So I think once Marnus got it in, they got set. This is probably what Virat and Rahul should have done. One of them needed to kick on, and in this case,
one had to go.
Yeah, and in this case, Head did the job and knew what he wanted to do. And like we said, he had 19 boundaries, which was more than the entire Indian squad had.
It's been interesting. A few of these partnerships, obviously this wasn't Maxwell and Cummins, but the roles were similar in that one was an aggressor and one was knocking it around, and a nice supporting knock there from Marnus. So a lot of people
who himself had a pretty-average tournament. Like there were questions as like, are we picking Marnus purely in the final because he's fielding?
We spoke about it. And I think really the only
one of the top 5 batsmen as well. He's in the team because he's fielding.
Well, top 5 in red ball cricket.
Yeah, so, his recent form had not great in the white ball, but in the tournament, leading up to the tournament was excellent. In the tournament, not so. But
I think there's a good argument to.
He's still a talented batsman,
but also to suggest if Marcus Stoinis had been playing better cricket, Marnus Labuschagne wouldn't have been in the side.
Maybe.
Regardless, excellent supporting knock, and this innings from Travis Head, just the full arsenal of the shots.
Yeah,
you looked at his wagon wheel from it. He was pulling, he was cutting, he was playing the delicate late cuts, lofted drives, the slog sweep, getting after the spinners. It was an absolute innings for the age.
Oh, definitely. And I would join all-time greats, Ponting and Gilchrist getting hundreds in World Cup finals. So.
Pretty handy company. Didn't get to hit the winning runs.
No.
Got out and Maxi got to do it. And cue the sound of silence. How fucking quiet was it in that stadium?
And going back, like if that was during the Indian innings one they're batting, and I wonder if that played a part in it a little bit as well. For there was no, oomph, no energy. There's nothing for say Colin Rahul to kind of feed off to get in. And I want to make the point with the. Marnus and the team were talking about fielding. Australians did field really fucking well.
So well. in both the final and the semi-final.
Yeah, the reason they didn't have boundaries is because they were diving, cutting everything off.
The ring fielding was excellent. Yeah. The boundary fielding was excellent. Took all our catches, catches win matches, yada, yada. But there was a few difficult ones
all the mistakes,
in the Indian innings. Running back, always hard.
Travis Head.
Yep.
So, I think, add all to that in it. Really had the crowd, over 100,000, silent. While the Indians were batting, and then
incredible.
Yeah, they're a bit vocal at the start of the Australian innings, but as Marnus and Travis Head start going quiet again, and considering the entire stadium's wearing blue, they weren't. I don't know. Maybe it's an Australian thing, the bit of the underdog when your team's down, you start getting your cheering, you're trying to egg them on because cheering works to get them over the line, but. Whether the Indians really didn't push that kind of,
it's almost like their fans are so passionate that when they're
they're shell shocked. Maybe
when
that's the thing.
exactly when they're not on top, it's almost detrimental. When they are on top and they're going berserk,
dancing,
and you're like, oh well, how can we win in this environment?
Oh yeah. Exactly.
Whereas with us, half the stands at the bar, and we don't really get the flag waving and music, and the extreme highs.
Yes.
But I feel like there isn't that extreme low.
No,
when Collie chops on, and you can hear a pin drop in a stadium of 100,000 people.
Oh yeah.
So we're World Cup champs.
What do you think about the celebrations?
In terms of
there's a few things.
Mitch Marsh feet on the cup,
a
few dogged handshakes,
all that kind of rhetoric coming out. What do you think of that?
It's an age of cell phones and social media and all the rest of it. I didn't think, for me as an Australian, maybe I'm a little bit biased, I didn't think there was anything that was too on the nose in terms of celebrations.
Like the feet on the trophy.
Things back to Warney and stumps in the air and a bit of carry on. They just won a World Cup.
Yeah. And the spoils go to the victor. So,
yes.
I think they're a little bit of leeway to do what they want.
I actually think some of it was pretty fucking funny.
True.
Did like Travis Head and his speed dealers and having a pretty good time. You've just won the World Cup. Surely. Surely you can let the hair down for a few days.